Morning everyone, my name is Yuri and we're gonna do some live coding today. Let me know if you can see me well, hear me well, if the sound is alright and the video is alright, and let's start live coding something. Is there anyone in the chat? Come on, let me know. I'm with a new camera so you could see everything. So glad I bought that one. Oh, thank you for the question. I think I'd like to sleep a bit more, but otherwise I'm alright. Yay! Wonderful. So for anyone new to the stream, well, my name is Yuri and I'm stressing myself on Sunday to do some live coding of new stuff that I've been learning. Today is going to be quite a simple website. Yeah, it's a nice new camera. I bought Sony. I decided, what the hell? Where should I spend all my money that I've been earning on those streams with the YouTube monetization? So I decided I should waste them on the camera. Yeah, amazing, amazing. So let's get started. Yeah, I need to mention that I have a Patreon because I wasted just a bit more money than I'm actually earning on the Patreon. So you can support me. The video is going to be free anyway, but support is appreciated, even $1. Alrighty, so I'm going to decompile this website today, 100 Days of Poetry. I believe it's done by Keita Yamada. And well, kudos to the developers. It's really nice and solid looking website. It's almost Sony A7. It's Sony A6400, 6400. How do you call this one? So it's 64 and 00, 6400. All right. So we're going to be doing this website today. It's looking quite simple, but I wanted to connect, I've been too deep into the webgl on the recent streams. I decided I should make a bit more of the JavaScript parts and maybe even CSS parts. So this stream is going to be with the webgl and the CSS and JavaScript, a little bit of everything. And maybe it's a good one to start doing some shaders. So let's start doing something. Okay, the folder. How do you call this one? Poetry. I'm gonna call this one poetry. So I already have the my threejs basic template, and if you're looking for something to start with, I think the basic threejs template from the documentation is all right too. It's just that I created a simple one for me. I'm gonna run through it really fast. Hey everybody! Good morning, everybody. Yeah. Yeah, let's open it up. So I'm getting used to Visual Studio Code. I'm using it more and more. So it's not that slow as I thought previously. All right, I'm just gonna open a couple of important files. I'm gonna switch screens. It's too big. Just a little late. I'm gonna do some window layout, so it's good to see the code and the result at the same time. So yeah, I have the template to run it. I'm gonna just do a parcel index HTML, and then I should probably see something on a local host 1, 2, 3, 4. Good morning, everyone, again. So it's downloading the dependencies, and we should see something in a minute. Yeah, so the template is really basic. It's just one single threejs plane with the shader material applied to it, and I'm just seeing the UVs of that plane right now, and just to be sure that I think it's going to be better to see the preview on the right and then the code on the left. Should probably do some fancy layout like the cool guys do, something like that. Sure. So I see the last message in the chat list. It's not the top chat, it's the chat. All right, seems good to me. So we have this, and if I change the color to the red one, which is 100, is gonna be the red one. Yeah, it's working all right. So let's start doing this thing. So, well, in the first glance, you could see that it's pretty simple, and you could maybe even try to do that one with the HTML and CSS, but there are some nice little touch with the distortions in the WebGL, and it's not really possible to do those ones with any other technology, because if you're going to be using the SVG filters, I believe it's going to be damn slow for you, because they have this distortion on both sides of the website, like right here too, and on the left side, and there's a lot of objects being animated at the same time, and they are being looped, and there's a lot of things to handle if you go with the HTML here. So it's actually a good thing to do this one with a WebGL, even though it looks kind of plain two-dimensional, but it's still a really nice one. So let's start doing this one. Yeah. So first of all, I want to do like the whole plane. I want my window, my viewport to be filled with my shader material. There are a couple of ways to do that. I've done all of them in my previous streams. Well, this time I'm going to be using the orthographic camera. So I don't need the perspective camera. And yeah, I believe I just promised to run through the template really fast. So I have the both shaders, vertex and fragment, and then I have a like the basic setup that you would see on the home page of the threejs repository. And then some like resizing, so I resize the width and the height of the canvas. And then I'm adding the objects, which is actually the shader material and the only meaningful part in this whole thing. And then I'm just running request animation frame the whole time, re-rendering this stuff, which you don't actually need to do on the production. You should render as less as possible. All right. Where was I? Okay, I need to fill my whole screen with a shader. So I'm gonna add the camera. Okay, I don't really care about the frustum size. I believe maybe 1. And then I don't care about the aspect ratio as well. So just 1 by 1. And then the orthographic camera is gonna be like, it's just, I can remove everything here. Just the frustum size multiplied by the aspect ratio. Another aspect ratio. So it's going to be just 0.5 to the left, 0.5 to the bottom, left, right, bottom, top. Yeah. And that's it. And because it's an orthographic camera, it doesn't care about all the projections. What's wrong? Unexpected token. Yeah. So I believe we just filled our browser with this shader material. I'm gonna replace VUVs back. So this is actually this is the only thing that you need to do to fill the whole browser with the shader material. Just make an orthographic camera and yeah, 0.5, 0.5 to all these sites. Okay, so far so good. Now this whole text, it could be done with a like real text rendering. I mean, well, to use the text in WebGL, you need to render this one to the image anyway. But so I could actually implement something like when I'm taking a dynamic text and rendering this to WebGL render target. But this is usually not the way to go because the text is usually static, and in this particular case, it's just the same short image. So I'm gonna just paint it myself. I could accept any phrase recommendations. The default is have a nice day, but if you have something better in your mind, just go ahead and tell me. All right, I have pretty nice images here already open. Okay. Not the centimeters, come on. Make it this way. A real short Photoshop tutorial. stay. Now I need something condensed. Why I can't see preview? Stop. Now I need to make this one condensed. I think Avenir condensed would be a good choice. So, and the aspect ratio of my image is exactly 1:4. And then I'm gonna save it to poetry. And I forgot to name the image. Hey. All right. What else? Okay, now I need to load this image into my shader. I'm gonna call it T because it's texture. I call it poetry, right? Day. I really have a short memory span. Okay. Yeah, the texture is here already. Now I need to load it into the shader. I don't need this thing. Let's make it less code. Call it TT. You could already guess that I'm real good in the naming of all the variables in the code. Then I need to load the URL right here. And after that I can actually use it. So I'll call it texture1. And then TT. Now I could use this texture1 inside my shader. Let's try to do that. So we already have the UVs part here. And well, I can just do texture1. And let's preview if we can see anything. Can't see anything because I have some shader error, I believe. Yeah, of course. Yeah, so now we have have a nice day. Okay, we have a nice day. And then can your course start? Well, I'm still working on it. I think it should start in the end of this month. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, in the end of the month. It's going to be first start in Russian, but then I think in 2-3 weeks it's going to be restarted in English too. All right. One of the reasons I bought the better camera because I started recording and then I hated the quality of the old camera. And then this one is pretty nice. Although you could see like everything. It's like if the person is tired, you could see all the tiredness in his eyes. And if you see me tired, it's only because this is a new camera. Oh, thank you guys. Well, thank you to India. All right. It's my course, I think in a month something. Okay, we have a texture here. So now I'd like to do something a bit more complicated. I'm gonna be distorting UVs, and to do this, I'm gonna do UV equals 2. It's just for UV. The thing is, I'm trying to do everything fast, but maybe sometimes it's good to take it slow. So we're creating the new UV. Then we could immediately do something like real stupid, like doing something like this: UV equals fract UV multiplied by, let's say, 10. But not here multiplied, but inside here. So multiplying some value between 0 and 1 with 10, we get something between 0 and 10, obviously, and then we're taking the fractional part, so it's going to be 0, 1 again. And then we're going to be using those UVs to use the texture. And and we don't see anything because of this. Hit those kind of errors. And that wasn't everything. Like, what the hell? Another shader error here. UV undeclared identifier, but I already fixed that one. Okay, yeah, here again. Yeah, so if I just multiply something with the like 10, so I get 10 of those like fractions inside my shader. So I'm just repeating something. Also, to avoid those border, I believe I need to do threejs texture linear. Okay. It should be a Mac filtering. So I need to change the filtering of the texture from the near to linear to the nearest filter, yeah. One of those. Yeah. Well, it's looking not as good as before, but that's because it's pretty small and the aspect ratio is not accounted, but at least we don't have those borders now. Okay, so I don't really need to multiply it by this big value. I think 5 is pretty much enough. Also, we lost some aspect ratio on the texture because we are not really accounting for the aspect ratio of an image, and we're also not accounting for the aspect ratio of the screen. Well, I have the aspect ratio of the screen right here, and the resolution XY is the width and the height of the screen. And I know I just hard-coded the aspect ratio of the image because it's just 1 to 4. So it's going to be 4 multiplied by resolution X divided by resolution Y. So I'm going to multiply the UVX with this value, and this value I believe should be accounting for both aspect ratios, if I did everything right. Well, maybe it's this way, probably. Yeah, so now we have the perfect aspect ratio, just like the one I just drew in Photoshop. Because we are accounting here for the aspect ratio of an image, and this is aspect ratio of a screen. And if I will resize, I will just be seeing more and more of those titles. Easy peasy. Okay. Well, it surely looks easy, but I'm sure that I've spent some, well, huge amount of time when I started learning shaders and fixing those kind of errors with the aspect ratios. All right. Yeah, I've been recording the course recently. Well, it's not just the webgl, it's mostly about the front end, but then it's gonna have the part about webgl as well, and the animations in general, because I don't only do the webgl, I also do some SVG and like all the other stuff, CSS animations. So I believe you would be able to like be involved in, not in the whole course, but just, you know, maybe buy some small part of the course, and just if you're only interested in webgl, or maybe if you're only interested in the HTML, you could just buy that part. Yeah, this is the course. So it's not really focused on the WebGL at the start, at least, but they're definitely going to be part because I'm passionate about this whole thing. Okay, so let's continue. What's next? Now I need to make those things move somehow, right? And to make them move, I believe also we are scaling from the left here. And maybe we should just do UV x minus 0.5. So we just centered the whole thing. So all the titles are now in the center. because I've been multiplying the X and I didn't normalize it to the center of the screen. Okay, what else? What else? Where do we start next? They have some borders right here. Those borders actually done with the HTML part. I'm not sure if I should do them. Of course, it's possible to do them with the shader, but let's just leave it for the final touches. All right. What else I could do? Well, you could see that there is a small parallax right here, and there's also, like, if I scroll, those are moving. Well, I don't have any scroll at the moment, but I have some time running here, so I could actually do some timing. So before I multiply my whole UVs, like before I do this fractional multiplication, I could just do new UV x equals. I need to have this new UV x between 0 and 1 the whole time. So I could either use the fract or the mod. I think the guys used mod, but let's just, for the sake of the repeating the animation, use the mod here. And then I'm gonna just UV x plus time. Well, that's too fast. So now we have them moving. So now let's create something like the plot scroll, which is going to be equal by all this. And I kind of want to make this scroll dependent on each of the rows. To make that, we need to have some random value for each of those rows. So first of all, I'm going to do this like step function, which is going to be, I need to have like a number corresponding to each of the rows in my shader that I have here. So I'm going to just multiply the value of y with 5. That's why I'm getting the value, that's how I'm getting the value between 0 and 5. And then I need to like this. This is gonna return me either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then if I divide this one by 5, I believe I should get the some kind of step gradient now. Yeah, everything is working all right. So this one is 0. I mean, this one is 0 probably. Then they're starting to like being lighter when it grows. So now I have some random number. It's not random number, it's random, it's linear number. So if I just multiply this one by the step 5, step by the step. So if I just multiply this one by step, one of the rows would be, I need to remove this. So it's going to be like that. This is already some kind of generative art probably, which you can parameterize and do lots of those. But this is not good because this is not random and they all go in the same way. And it's kind of boring. So let's do something else. I will just look for the #1 GLSL. I'm gonna go and copy paste the random function. So this function takes float and returns float, and this is just random. And then instead of here, like, let me think a bit. Was it better to do? I think it just could. Multiplied by like 0.5 plus, so it's not standing in place at least. And then I'll take #1 function from this step value. And this should be a different speed for all of them. Well, it is a different speed for all of them, but now I could maybe. Yeah, so now this is actually random. I could maybe add something else here. gonna be a bit more random. So it's random, they go in all the same way. I'm just gonna subtract scroll. So we're getting closer. And this is gonna be an infinite animation because this is just some numbers looping between 0 and 1. I apply resolution only to X because I don't really care about the wrapping on the, on the X axis, because all the titles are just going infinitely from left to right, and I don't really care like where they end or begin. I just care about the aspect ratio on the Y axis. So I have 5 rows. And then that's why I just multiply on the X, because I want them to spread as much as possible. Yay, morning Max. Okay, I think I'd better answer the questions in the end, because I'm just getting distracted and then I forget what I wanted to do next. So we are almost there. Still some stuff to do. So this is time. I don't really care about time. I'll just multiply the time with 0 right now. So all the titles are standing in place. When I'm shifting the UVs with the X, I'm gonna add some offset value, and it's gonna be just this step. Why isn't it offset? So this step should be different for each of the rows. Why isn't it offset? Could of course run this. Yeah, because it wasn't random. So I just wanted to make a random offset for each of the rows. Okay. So I have random offset for each of the rows. And what else I want to do? I could move them if I just change the time variable. I could move everything now. But what else I wanted to do here? There's also a nice twinning animation at the start. Like when I'm just refreshing this thing, all the titles are coming like from different directions, like this. And this is what I wanted to do too. So I'm gonna introduce another variable here, progress. Let's make it progress, and then I think I need to state it here. And I'll just uncomment that GUI, so I could see the progress. Yeah, I could see the progress. And then, well, just for a moment, I'm going to replace the time with the progress. Nothing happening because I'm not updating the progress in my request animation frame loop. Settings progress. So right now I can kind of control like a scroll-like thing, control the offset of all the variables. And what happens at the start is actually this value is being animated. So I'm going to return the time back. Time multiplied by 0.1. And then here I'm going to add the progress. So it could be like the starting animation of this whole thing. And then what I need to do, there's also a distortion on the sides of those titles. Like why we actually did this in the webgl anyway. We wanted to do the distortion in the end of the titles. So I'll make it real slow. To make the distortions, I need to scale UVs. I need to scale UVs only on the sides of my whole animation. To do that, I'm gonna do something sides, and then float sides equals because the x value is changing between 0 and 1, I could do this. I could vuv x minus 0.5. Now this value is going to be changing between minus 0.5 and plus 0.5. Now if I take the length or the absolute value of this one, it's going to be just between 0 and 0.5. Now if I multiply this one with 2, I get something between minus 1 and 1. And now let's just do sides. Yeah, you could see the sides. It's not the minus 1, but like 1. It changes between 1, 0, and then 1. So we get this nice gradient. The hash function is just random. It's just like a noise float to float. It's not the base function. It's just taking some random like fractions of the big numbers, and so this is just a random number. It's just the equivalent of math random in GLSL, which is I don't know how to call this one, but if I put the same value into the function, I will get the same random value out. So it's like a one-dimensional noise function. Yep. All right, we have this. Now I need to I only need to focus on the sides of my whole thing, and to do this, like the sides is going to be called the step function 0.9 sides. So it's like the shader error, because why? Okay, I need to check. Function name expected. What do you mean function name? Maybe I can't do this one. Okay, float masking. What's wrong with my step function? There's gotta be some simple mistake, but just can't see it. Step. Oh yeah, fuck. I did a huge mistake. I just override the step. Okay, it's gonna be just, let's call it a step Y. Because there's a step function in GLSL, and I think you could just overwrite it if you just make a variable with the same name. Okay, now we have mask. You could see the white stripes on the both sides. Now you could use smooth step, but the smooth step is non-linear, and for this particular case I would like to use something linear. So like the float shade is going to be equal like this side's value minus 0.9. So this is going to be between 0 and 0.1, right? If I multiply this by 10, it's going to be something between 0 and 1. So I can preview this shade now. This is just a small gradient on the left and right side. And well, now I could use this gradient to scale my UVs. So I already have the UV part, like the UVs here, but before I scale them on the like on this, like scale them 5 times on both axes, I kind of want to scale them using this shader, this mask thing, right? I think I would also need to multiply this one here, just to know it's 0. I believe it's anyway 0. Should I? Okay, anyhow. So now I could scale my UVs. So I'm gonna remove this part. Have a nice day. And then like the new UV equals UV, for example, 0.5 multiplied by something, by some value, like the scale value is going to be like 1 for now, and bring them back to the center. Nothing should be happening at this moment because I'm just scaling it 1. If I multiply this by 2, you could see that I'm going to be scaling those things. Yeah, now it's broken, but anyhow, I need to just scale them a little. And I only need to scale them on those sides. That's why I just have this like shade value here. So let's scale them. Let's just do something small, like 0.1 multiplied by shade. And you could see something already happening here. It's only scaled by the x-axis so far. You also need to scale this one by the y-axis. What? You could see it's being scaled now and it's getting this nice 3D vibes, even though it's not really a 3D. There's this thing that all those scales are coming to the center of the whole screen, which is not what I want. I want them to come to the center of each rows. And this means when I'm centering here, I need to use this step Y thing. So I need to find the center of each row. And this is not really a center of the row, because this is like this position. And to get the center of the row, I need to get this position. And this means that I need to subtract half of the 1/5. And half of the 1/5 is actually 1/10. And I believe this should do the trick. And I should do the same value when I'm like bringing them back. So when I bring them back with this coefficient, yeah, you could see them now being scaled to the same row, and I could, okay, I need to make it a bit wider. I think like something bigger here on the y-axis. Yeah, and you could see we're getting this nice scale now. It's pretty linear, so I think I just don't like power function. Now getting it more of a, like a 3D effect. I think it gets kind of close to what we have here. It's just the text is a bit different. Yeah, it's somewhat like this. Just the text, we have a much bolder text and we don't really see the same effect, but it's kind of a different effect right here. What curriculum do you recommend? It's like two persons asking the same question. Okay. Well, I think you should go ahead and try something. There is a book of shaders, and there's WebGL fundamentals, and there's also threejs fundamentals. Yeah, just go ahead and read those and try all the tricks mentioned there. And then there's also WebGL fundamentals if you want to go into the WebGL. But I believe it's better to start with the threejs and then just go ahead and try all the stuff mentioned here. I think it's the best, one of the best places to start. I believe the author is Levi Blue, and he's a real cool guy, and you would trust him. Okay. So what we have now, we have this thing, we could move it. We have this nice little distortion on the edges. We just calculated ourselves. Okay. Can't live with that. And then, yeah, this is actually kind of 3D. We don't really need 3D here. You could do this one with the native WebGL too, I think. But that's it. Okay, so now let's proceed to connect this one to the, oh yeah, also the scaling. So right now when we progress the animation, it only moves. I want it also to scale. To do this, I'm gonna change the coefficient that this is actually the scale coefficient that I'm using for the edges, but I would also, so when the progress is 1, I want the scale be the same as it is now. It's going to be 1 minus progress. This is the other way around, so maybe I should just minus. And this is just too big. So I'm just changing the vector that with which I'm multiplying my UVs to scale. And this way I'm getting it, I think it's too small now, maybe 0.4. So it's big at the start and then it's getting nice, and maybe I could even use something like 0.6 here. Yeah. So it's complete different look now, still with the 3D distortion on the edge. And then when I'm gonna be using this, I'm gonna just... So let's start doing this with the front-end part. So I'm gonna go to the folder, I'm gonna create the main JavaScript. I'm gonna import sketch from app.js. Inside my app.js, I'm gonna remove this instantiations and then let animation equals this, and then in my index, in my index HTML, I'm gonna use the main.js now. Oh yeah. So now we have this one as a module already. Now let's connect the green sock here. Gonna download the green sock now. You could just npm install green sock, but because I have this, have it bought, I mean, I have a license, I'm gonna do the npm install. And to do the npm install, if you have the license, you just do this. And then I want to include ScrollTriger, split text, and that's it. So now I have all the modules for GSAP, so I can animate something. I have the animation module, and at the start I could just do this, GSAP2, animation settings, duration equals like 1 second, and then progress equals 1. So when I'm gonna when I will reload the web page, it should just what? Maybe I should just restart the parcel. Yeah, you could already see the animation. There's one touch missing here also, because I have this step function, like the value, all the titles are going in the same direction here, but they're not going the same direction on the original website. And to do that, you could actually, like you could see, it's different directions. I could do this, could detect the direction and multiply the progress with the direction. So let's take the direction equals, like this, gonna be, like this value is something like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I could state like this, if this one modulo 2 equals 0, it's gonna be -1 or 1. I haven't really used ternary operator in JLSL, but hopefully, well, it works all right. So this direction should be either -1 or 1, depending on the oddity, if it's odd or even row. And then I could just multiply this progress with the direction. Yeah, now we have this nice touch. I could also change the easing. Easy, and then maybe some exponential. Oh, this is GSAP2. Fuck. Why I'm getting redirected to this 3? There are 2 versions of the GSAP right now, like the old one is 2 and the current one is 3. And well, I wanted to make this exponential in out. I don't really remember the names of those easings. And maybe we could just make the progress not as big. I mean, maybe not here, but okay. That's just too much. I mean, right here, the progress with the direction, maybe we should multiply it by some small layer so it's not like traveling that fast. Yeah. And then maybe like make the whole duration 3 seconds. And then it's pretty nice now. Yeah. Okay, we have this now. We still can control this thing with this progress. So we kind of make this simple shader with this stuff. And then what I wanted to do also, let's do some CSS now. Are there any questions? Mathematics, I don't really think mathematics is that important for 3, even though a lot of people think this way. I think you'd better start with threejs and then learn on the way. Yeah, you were right. I already had the step variable. Sorry, just looked at the chat. Yeah. I don't think you need a really advanced math. It's good to have it, but to do this kind of thing, you don't really need like a lot of math. Just adding, multiplying, subtracting. That's if you're good with multiplying something, you're good to go with webgl. At least to start with it. Okay. What else would I wanted to do here? Yeah, the HTML part. Yeah, let's do this one. Let's finally write some HTML wrapper. So I have some D blocks here, and then wrapper. Display grid. Suddenly a lot of CSS here. Autofill. I'm just trying to do all those blocks that they had, and I'm gonna now connect the scroll animation to the scrolling, the animation on the background to the scrolling animation, and let's see what's gonna happen. I'm gonna remove pointer events from this canvas. It's not the max width. I want it to be margin top, yeah. Margin top. Yes, now I have something like 20% from the top and then 60% of the height. And then I want it to be display grid. I believe it's the other way around. So I want the columns to be out of field. And then I want 3 rows here. Let's just see. Chrome has a nice debug thing now for the... Yeah, now you could see the grid that I just created with the CSS. Where was I? Now I just created a small gap between all my grid rows and columns. Well, the next thing I told you is going to be a CSS stream. Now I'm going to be using CSS variables. So the position is 1. And then Like this is a CSS property, and then I could use this one in CSS. And I could use this one to, okay, I need to do this also. Okay, I have my divs. I need to state box sizing because otherwise the height and the width of the box, well, maybe not actually. Maybe because of the CSS grid, it's going to be sized properly, but anyway, it's better to do this. Yeah, actually, because I haven't stated any width and height on my boxes, they're just all right and being stretched by the CSS grid itself. And then I could, what I could do? What else I could do here? Yeah, I created those things, and I could do create row or column. And then if I state something like 2, they're gonna all start in the second column, which I don't really need, but I could do this. All right, now I have something. I actually need to set the width and the height, I believe. Yeah, so now I have some kind of grid. And then another dimension. Where's my demo? Fuck, it's not working properly. And why is that? Oh yeah, because I just went have one dash here. I just wanted, fuck, it's because I'm swiping with 2 fingers. I get this like back and forth animation. It's just I wanted to make a bit random squares here, like something like random. This is what I call randomness. Alrighty, and maybe some random color. Could remove the red background now. Now all those boxes are where they're supposed to be. Maybe we should make all those borders too. Like I'm an old school guy. I'm gonna use CSS to create those. All right, yeah, class name. So far so good. Also need to do this so they're centered on their border. Maybe not because that way they're gonna collapse with those borders. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. So now we have this, we kind of close. Now I want to connect this whole thing to the scroll bar, right? Oh yeah. Not really old school, but you know, they've been around like 5 years already, I think so. Some people just started learning front-end 5 years ago. So for them, they've been around for forever. And I still remember the times where we didn't have the border radius. And just for the history, even though it completely out of this design concept, we're gonna do border radius now. This looks ugly. I'm gonna remove it. Also have this weird thin overlapping right here. Some reason, some calculations are not right. Maybe I should just state shouldn't state the height. Like some weird errors here. Should have been alright. Maybe some grid calculations are wrong or what? Should have been perfect. Should have been perfect. I also have a small scroll bar. What's this? What the heck is this? How this whole CSS thing working? It's like a working illustration of those CSS memes. Like, why? Yeah, I know there is some reason for that, but still. Yeah, so I have this small scroll for some reason. So the height of every block is too big. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Come on, show me. This is why I hate Visual Studio Code. I can't just zoom into something, just show me something. Yes, because I missed the air ladder. I got it all spoiled. Maybe I don't really need this one. Box size and border box. Now the height of all of those is not really enough. Gonna be a dirty hacker. Okay, it's good now. It's perfect now. All right. I wanted to connect the scroll bar. Yeah, I wanted to connect the scroll. Let's go into the app.js and close it. And then let's go to the main.js, which is the main JavaScript file for now, and then try to do some GSAP animation with the scroll bars. Oof. Okay. Let's start with finding the container, which is going to be the gonna set the wrapper. So I have the wrapper now, and then I want to animate GSAP to this same wrapper to what I wanted to animate. I want it to be scrolled. Scroll means actually like moving on the X direction. Let's out in pixels. And if I just do that, it's gonna just move the other way. So it's kind of scrolled. I think I need more. Why do I have my grid disappearing? I should have said something. Like I want it to be wrapped in the div, not overflowed by the div. I think I'm missing some grid. Yeah, I didn't need the overflow out actually. So now I have some kind of scroll. I mean, it's just moving from side to side, but this is already scroll. And what I want to do now, I want to connect this scroll to the actual scroll. And to do this, I'm going to use the scroll trigger. How do you use the scroll trigger? I think you could use scroll trigger right inside here. And then set some options. Like one of the options should be where do I start in this whole animation, what's the trigger? And the trigger is going to be the wrapper itself. Now let's set the trigger to the container, because this is the biggest div I have with the canvas. And what else? What else? I want my animation to stay on the screen, so I believe something like pin through should be stated too. Now I don't have it on the screen because it's pinned, but it's at the wrong set index. Okay, where the hell is my pinned animation? Almost there. I just wanted to connect it to scroll. Okay, I have the pin spacer, I have the wrapper. Maybe I should remove the absolute here and like make the set index bigger. Not really what I expected. Okay, that's what happens when you're trying to do too much in one stream. GS, CSS, HTML, like everything. CSS grids even. All right, pin through. What am I missing here? Oh yeah, oh yeah. I just did that. Okay, I'm also a Dodger hacker. I'm missing just some simple stuff here. Your container. This is actually undefined. Like, what the hell am I doing here even? Something's really wrong here. Maybe I messed up the HTML too. I have this wrapper, which is class and ID both. And I kind of want it to be on top. There's just one CSS property could mess it all up, so it's really important to fix this. So we're triggering this one with a container, which should work for us. Maybe something with the CSS. Maybe I should just do the fixed position for this one. All right, something shows up at least. Also set the scrub while I can do that. Yeah, so now we are scrolling. I'm scrolling actually on the vertical axis, and I get this. Now I can do the onUpdate function. I don't really remember the API. Yeah, I just forgot to state scrub and to make it position fixed. So when I scroll now, I get the self value, and they should have the progress here. Yeah, I have the progress here. And now inside this animation, I could just set the progress. So I could get the animation. Animation, it's not setting, it's actually just time equals to self progress multiplied by 10. So it's some big value. Yeah, almost there. So we're going to be updating the time of the animation when we scroll something, right? Animation time, and I have this time being updated there on the loop. I'm going to remove this one, and I have this value that should be updating now. So we did animation, it's in place, and then I'm scrolling and it's moving. So it's moving too slow. So I just need to multiply it by some bigger value, like 40 maybe. Yay. Yeah, it's actually working, yeah. So now we just connected the scroll to the actual. So we have the horizontal scroll, we have the WebGL kind of scroll, which scrolls inside this shader with the WebGL uniforms. We have the CSS grid over it, and we have the ScrollTrigger to control it all, and we have even some nice inertia going on. Like, it's not really linear dependency between the scroll and the position of the blocks and the background. Yeah, I think that's it. That's what I wanted to do. Oof. Yeah. Yeah, I think we actually opened the Pandora box. It's better to stick with, when you do the WebGL, you just do the geometry shader and that's it. But when you do the CSS grid, custom properties, and then ScrollTrigger to connect it all, yeah. Sorry guys, I made some mistakes. I think it's pretty nice in the end. Maybe I should make it even like 100 so it scrolls more. It's just that the scroll is pretty short, like I just have a little bit of the scroll here. Yay, we did that. Well, I hope you like this journey into the CSS, WebGL, and ScrollTrigger. I'm glad you learned so much. This is actually the way to make some horizontal WebGL scrolling websites. I think it might be even, like, if you have some questions, I can answer those. Like, I'm gonna stream for another couple of minutes. I just wanted to try another thing to do. I don't really need to scroll on the south end. I need to calculate the exact number of the pixels I need to scroll. I think it's gonna be something of this sort. I need to calculate the width and the width of the viewport. So it's gonna be the width of the element, and I need to subtract the width of the viewport. And the viewport width is gonna be, how to determine the document client width. Okay, probably some JavaScript error, no? Oh, and this is all with the minus, yeah. So now it's a perfect scroll. It scrolls till the end of the div, because the ScrollTrigger measures the amount of the scroll I need to do, and this means like the whole width of the div minus the viewport size. This is how much I could scroll. Also, I believe if you want it to make dynamic, you need to do this, to make it a function inside the ScrollTrigger. So it's going to be recalculate on each of the resize. When those values changes, it's going to be recalculate. I don't care. Well, at this moment, I don't care. I will care later in my prod ready websites. Yeah. Up and down. I think this is because of scroll behavior. Like the current browsers right now, you could over scroll. Maybe we should try to fix this too. Now we don't have it. Magic. I can do anything. I feel like a Superman with CSS. I'm gonna announce them on Twitter, so just follow me on Twitter, and everything I do is announced on Twitter. Twitter is like the main source of all the stuff. You did +4 instead of -4, but it looks fine. Oh, you thought that's the reason of that drop-in. I think the overscroll behavior also was the reason. Right now it's okay. Yeah, I think also I think there should be a different connection between those. Like it should be the other way around. Like the scroll should be immediate, and then the background animation should have inertia, like following the scroll. Right now it's the other way around, like because the background is immediate and then the foreground follows it. But this is, you should just change the places here. Alrighty, I can do everything in one stream. I'm trying to be under 1 hour, not this time, but at least hope it was fun. Thank you for being with me today. Switch the camera. I'm gonna wish you a good day. You should definitely try to do this one yourself. Like if you think that you learned something while watching it, yeah, maybe, but when you do it yourself, it's going to be yours animation. And I also want to thank the developers that did this nice animation, because it's pretty cool, and I think it's a pretty elegant way. It's kind of simple, but then it looks awesome and it feels awesome, and yeah, it has webgl in it, so it's cool. All right. So guys, have a good day. I'm gonna stay in the chat for a while. Smash like if you liked that one. Subscribe. Support me on Patreon. Have a good day and say some kind words to people you love. Thank you guys. And I'm always open to any kind of feedback. If you liked anything, or if you want something to be more on the stream. Anyhow, see you guys. It was Yuri.